God, I don't want to be so close to this microphone right now. It's fine.
Well, then don't. It's fine.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, cats and squirrels, you thought I wasn't going to be here. You said to yourself, I'm not tuning in this episode because Chuck's not going to be. Well,
Yeah.
I'm not going to let down the Rundownians. You know what I mean? Like, here I am. I am Chuck. Welcome to the Comic Book Rundown presents the Rundown Reviews. I haven't actually figured out what we're actually calling this thing. Like,
we're gonna
what
figure it
is
out.
the
So we're
actual
gonna have a
title?
whole year of this. I mean, it's called Rundown Reviews.
Rundown Reviews brought to you by the Comic Book Rundown.
Sure, we can go with that.
Okay. I was probably not going to make it this week, but then you were like,
close.
"Oh, well, we're covering Daredevil," and I was like, "That's like my favorite movie. This is my going back and watching this. This is my '89 Batman." I realized,
dude, this movie was awesome.
The
director's cut was so much better.
It is, but it isn't. Like, there's a lot to digest.
Sure,
here,
there's some bad.
And my pre-workout is still in my veins, so yeah, I'm but I of course am the guy who is just giddy to be here. And I'm Chuck, and I'm joined once again by the CEO and Chief Supreme Ruler and Reptilian Overlord Professional Casual Network, Joey.
That's me.
And his heightened awareness nips.
Yep.
Yeah, that's his superpower.
That's why he keeps the name bar right across his chest so you can't see his nips poking out.
Right. Yep.
Exactly.
That's how I do it. And of course, the only person that we actually care about actually being here, Ron.
Hey, everybody.
Ronald.
So yeah, we watched Daredevil from 2003. Well, you guys watched. I know, Ron, you only watched the theatrical cut. Chuck, which version did you watch?
I really wanted to watch the director cut, but I just couldn't justify and afford the $15, and I couldn't find it on Dailymotion, like for free. So I just watched the normal theatrical version, but I am curious to hear, because I've always heard it's different and it's actually better than the theatrical cut.
I'll give you this. Like, when I did my rankings, I ranked it a point higher because I actually liked the story of the director's cut better. Is it still the greatest? No, there's still some flaws, but they do explain some stuff that I had questioned watching the theatrical cut. And I will get into some of the differences. They actually did a nice little breakdown over on IMDb talking about that. But yeah, because I'd watched both. I'd watched the regular cut, the theatrical cut earlier in the week, and I watched the director's cut literally just like yesterday.
If you're ever wondering why you should go over to patreon.com/professionalcasual and give us $3.01, it's to support Joey having to watch the same movie twice.
See, Joey likes to do that, though.
Listen, they don't need to know that. They don't need to be informed of that. Don't tell them that.
I still think we should be recording Chuck eating food and putting that up on the Patreon, but, you know.
I agree with that, too.
I mean, think about all of the, Elite Eight Showdown fans that would. Yeah.
Yo, Jordan would bring this back. He would bring back Wreck My Podcast just so he could rant about how much he loves it.
I mean, we're going to have Jordan on in a couple weeks talking about Star Wars, so you can bring it up to him then.
I can't wait. I'm so excited. I get excited when we were going to talk about Star Wars, and then you're like, oh, Jordan's coming on. I'm like, 4-man booth with Jordan? This is going to be brutal. It's going to be the worst. And I know he doesn't listen to the show when he's not on it, so it's just like, I'm just going to talk shit the entire time and then pretend like I never said anything.
You say that, but he's the one that brought up doing Star Wars year-round, which means he does listen to the show because we talked about it on an episode like a month and a half ago.
Yeah, I feel like he was on it when we talked about it.
No.
Mukbang. That was the word I was trying to. Mukbang is the thing that YouTubers do when they order like $1,000 worth of food and then record themselves eating it all. There was like one YouTuber that specifically did it back in the. I just couldn't remember what it was called. I knew it was something Mukbang.
All right, let's get into
yeah.
this movie and not talk about mukbang because that just sounds.
I disagree. This is kind of the mukbang of the Marvel universe at this time. I would argue.
You think so?
It's really interesting, really fascinating, but it's a little hard to watch.
Hmm.
I can agree with that.
I
Like,
don't know. I'd
there's
argue
some
most of
parts
the
in this
X-Men
that are pretty
movies are.
awesome. What the hell in the early 90s was Marvel, or early 2000s was Marvel's obsession with the like internal like body changes? Like in X-Men, the beginning of X-Men, they had like the exploding like cells like going through evolution. In Spider-Man, they had the spider bite
spider
like
bite.
changing his internal stuff. In this,
I
they
think
had
even we're gonna get into Hulk, and I think they did something similar to that as well.
it was like their fucking shtick for doing the beginning credits.
I think it was their way of showing, hey, you're watching a special movie. I don't know. I don't fucking know. They're dumb back then.
I feel like they
these
probably
were run
had
by
just
Fox and
invented the
Sony.
technology.
That's possible too.
Yeah, it's just like, oh, we have this way of like shooting this like CGI'd like event, and we have to get across in visual, not in
No, what
like,
it is they
not
spent
in
the money
dialogue.
on it. They spent the money on it for X-Men, and then they just had to use it for everything else to get their money's worth out of it.
Yeah, probably. I always think about Vertical Limit. I don't know if you guys ever remember that movie. I think it was called Vertical Limit. It was a movie about them trying to climb a mountain in like a snowstorm or an avalanche or something.
That was with Keanu Reeves and Patrick Swayze, right?
No, that's Point Break.
Oh,
Was it the
okay.
one with
that's what I was
Sylvester Stallone and
That's Over the Edge.
no, Cliffhanger.
Oh, Cliffhanger. Yeah. No, over the Edge. No, Over the Edge is the arm wrestling one.
Yeah, the trucker arm wrestling competition.
Yeah, there's nothing that I remember from this movie other than it was in 2002. It was when technology of like CGI stuff was like was it 2003?
2003. Yeah.
Vertical Limit?
I think.
Oh no,
Joe was talking about Daredevil.
Oh, sorry.
No, I mean it was this era,
Vertical
right?
Limit.
Where like
Gotcha.
we had this
Gotcha.
like boom of like, oh, we can just do anything with computer generated stuff.
Yeah, which we've
And
talked about numerous
every
times.
animal that was in the movie was computer generated. So it was like an opening scene was like a hawk, and it was like looking back at it does not pass the Spawn Kid continuum. Let's just put it that way. And so like I feel like we are in that era of just like we have the technology for this. Let's just do it, and just like because it's going to make it look cooler now. And I think we can all kind of agree that like practical effects stand the test of time.
Yeah. So
100%,
far,
yeah.
everything that we've been through, the practical effects are the ones that are actually the
Still
money
look
shots.
cool. And realistically, there's actually a lot of practical effects in this movie. There's very little like CGI'd stuff for the most part. Minus like a few things, but if there is CGI stuff, it's like both, right? It's like incorporated and they kind of hide the CGI stuff. Like we'll get into it as we go through the scenes, but I just remember thinking to myself, this movie, okay. I remember in this movie in the theaters. I went with a bunch of friends who loved comic books. I remember walking out and thinking, this is the movie that I say I'm going to love more than anything in the world. Because it just was like all the cool shit was really cool. And the stuff I hated, I'm going to pretend like didn't exist. So we can kind of get into it and I'll start dissecting how 10 degrees from perfect this movie is for me. Opening scene.
Okay. So one thing I did like about this, talk about CGI, the special effects, is how they did his radar vision.
Mm-hmm.
Only because it was nothing that we've seen before. Now it's been improved upon. Obviously, I know the Daredevil TV show has done a better job at it. I don't think it's ever like this in depth, but
Batman
for what we were given, yeah, Batman's done it.
Yeah. Yeah, Batman does it later
what
on. And about as good.
Yeah, and so what we did here was a nice little stepping stone for the future. I also want to point out that the majority of this movie is a backstory.
Yeah.
It felt like they were trying to set up for a second one. Like they knew that
they were.
Yeah, and it's a shame that we didn't get there because I think it would have been really cool where it was going to go.
I mean, we got Elektra.
We got a sequel, with Elektra.
That's a spinoff. It wasn't a sequel.
Daredevil shows up in director's cut.
That's good to know.
I don't know.
I'm a little. I do have to say though, in both this and the Elektra movie, I am a little disappointed they didn't go with her comic costume
instead of just
they do in the movie. In the Elektra
no,
movie.
They don't.
They don't. They kind of stick.
Have you never seen? Real quick, look up Elektra.
I've never seen it. I've never seen the Elektra movie.
Ooh, you're in for a treat.
So very legitimately, I don't like. What's this girl's name?
Jennifer Garner.
I want to say Jennifer Lawrence, and I knew that wasn't her. I was not a Jennifer Gardner fan. I didn't get it.
Okay.
I don't think that she's a good Elektra in this movie. They kind of really mute her in this of being how dope and badass. I mean, as per usual in this era of writing women in movies that are pertaining around comic books, they have to make her a chump when she was a complete badass. So
earlier on, yeah.
Because you gotta meet the mainstream expectations, right? We can't actually do a good comic book story. So,
well, the problem is though, Elektra was always only a character made specifically for this moment in Daredevil, where she comes in, she becomes romantically involved with Matt and Daredevil, and then gets killed off by Bullseye. She was never supposed to come back. She was literally supposed to be a one-note character. But then comics were like, hey, this character is popular. We want to bring her back somehow. And they do, sort of. There's a whole scroll thing involved. I don't know. So...
There's a lot. Well, she died and then came back, right? Isn't that...
That's what I'm saying.
She was part of the Hand at one point.
That was expanding on the story. When Frank Miller originally created her, it was to be a sacrificial lamb.
Right.
Because that's what it was in the 80s. That's just, or 90s.
And she's she is Daredevil now. That's the whole current gimmick?
Currently, yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. I don't know if that, at the time of recording, that's the current. I don't know if it's still going to be time of release. I haven't actually been paying too much attention.
They reboot a book every,
I think he's coming
2 issues
back. Well, I mean, he's obviously coming back at some point, but I don't know.
Anyway. So we have the opening scene, right? Where it's we find out that you gotta kill off a parent, right? And it's
both parents, actually.
Yeah, that's true. Both.
Well, the other one was already dead. Yeah.
And it has to be a situation where it's you gotta live up. You gotta live by your own and do the right thing. He can't take a dive and support his family and get paid a shit ton of money. No, he has to die on his principles, which is fucking stupid. And as per usual, I am a long believer in saying never follow a code of anything. Just
that sounds like a code to follow.
Pays you the most money.
That sounds like a code to follow.
I mean, I guess the hypocrisy of it is kind of there, but it's the best code to live by because money is fucking rad, okay? And most of the time doesn't get you killed.
Usually.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure that the reason that Jack got killed was because he lost somebody a lot of money.
Right. That's a gain. That's a gain for other people, but a loss for him and the person that he was supposed to be in business with.
So, did you guys notice on the marquee for the fight, the Live Tonight fight? Everybody's names on there, all the fighters' names on there were comic book artists and writers.
There's most of the side characters in this thing were artists, writers.
Yeah, like Jack Kirby and
Daredevil. Yeah. somebody connected to Daredevil mythology, like creatives. I guess.
Yeah,
the
because,
guy that Bullseye kills to get the motorcycle, that was Frank Miller. Like that was actually Frank Miller that he had the pen in, which was kind of fun. So yeah, no, I do like it when they do that. Those are like fun little cameos that I appreciate. Obviously, you had the Stan Lee cameo.
always.
At this time, that's a given,
Yeah.
But it's the other cameos. Like Kevin Smith is a cameo in here.
Yep.
Playing Jack Kirby, like you said. I just mentioned Frank Miller showing up for that one little scene. Apparently, the girl on the answer machine that Matt listens to in the very beginning was Colin Farrell's sister. She did the voice of that answer machine girl, and apparently she was
hot?
also. I don't know. She apparently was also at the bar that I couldn't pick her out. So
I will say they did a really good job of like finding a actor at the age of 12 to look exactly like Ben Affleck if he was a kid. Mainly because they gave him the same shitty 2003 haircut. And that was the only thing that like carried over, that and the glasses.
Well, yeah, because as soon as you put the glasses on, you lose half the face. Which, by the way, that toxic spill, that fork truck hit that thing open, and all that damaged Matt was his eyes. Come on, his whole face should have been mutated.
Now, see what happened was the fork. The fork sprayed the liquid into his eyes only.
Just a one direct shot into the eye.
Yeah, like when you go to throw something in like a tank at work and like it plops out there and just that one splash ends up on your face, like it misses your safety glasses, it misses the mask that you're wearing, and the acetone just hits like right on your cheek.
No.
In the opening scene though, I will say that it only took me to 2023. I was today years old when I figured out that his dad wasn't Meatloaf, and I have always thought his dad was Meatloaf. It's not. It's David Keith, who is famously known as Navy pilot Sid Worley from An Officer and a Gentleman. That's about it.
Very nice.
Man of Honor. He did a lot of military movies, Behind Enemy Lines. Major League 2.
So we were talking about.
I remember in Major League 2. I do remember I really like that movie.
Yeah.
Like cameo-esque things, but we never talk about how much. Huh?
Jason Voorhees was in this. Jason Voorhees was in this one too.
But we never actually talk about how much Happy is in comic book movies.
Oh, Jon Favreau.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, Jon Favreau. I would love them to, because now it's all in the same universe, right? Like, or it's all by the same company.
It's working there, yes.
I would love them to tease the idea that Jon Favreau is actually like a Skrull the whole time, or something stupid like that, or he is like, oh my god, if he was like the Watcher the whole time, he's just disguising himself to have these key components. Oh my, that would be. There's got to be a character like that, right?
That was actually Stan Lee, according to Guardians of the Galaxy 2.
Okay,
because he was sitting there with the Watchers telling stories of his cameos in other movies.
It's Loki. It's Loki the whole time, and they go back and they reshoot all of this stuff, and then they just like as he's walking out, it's Jon Favreau, and he turns into the actor from Loki, and like, oh, that would be so
Tom
good.
Hiddleston. That'd be kind of cool.
So
I did like this past season of Loki. That was amazing.
I have not watched it yet. I kind of forgot it existed.
It's so good.
Listen, I'm watching like a bunch of other stuff, done. And then the strike and everything. So like, I'm getting caught up on The Boys and Invincible or Gen V, whatever it was.
Gen V, yeah, which is also good, and Invincible,
good.
Which is also good. Which at the time of release, the second half of Invincible has started coming out. So,
good.
Yay!
When does this release?
January 5th. This is our first episode of the new year.
Okay, so I still won't be able to watch. Actually, I take that back. So Charlie comes back around Christmas for about a week.
Simon, you mean?
Or Simon? Yeah, that's what I said.
How dare you?
Charlie's my oldest kid, all right?
Yeah.
And then Chuck's my oldest kid. Hi, son.
That's right. You remember that.
Yeah, you remember who you call daddy. Oh,
Yeah,
anyway,
you owe me $5. Give me my money.
look,
Give me
I'll be
my
back
inheritance.
after I get my milk and cigarettes, okay?
Oh no, not again.
But Simon will be back, so I might actually get him to binge watch some shit with me so I can actually catch up.
I mean, you could, yeah. You got a week, whole week.
Be like, yep, sorry, work, I'm calling off because I got to catch up some TV shows with my son.
I'm sure they'd be okay with that. Yeah. So you were talking about, what were we talking about?
The fact that those 3 kids were picking on a blind kid, like I get them picking on him at the beginning.
I'm also pretty sure they didn't change their clothes.
That was the correct thing for that era. I remember being a kid and watching kids bully the disabled kids like a lot at my school. So that's pretty on par.
Kids are fucking monsters.
Yeah, they are. Yes, they are.
I like them. I beat them up.
Let's hear.
Listen, $10 and half a meatball sub. If you have a kid that you need the crap kicked out of, you come call me, all right? Allegedly, I would do that.
Good answer there.
Allegedly, there's a dude in Oneonta. Oh,
yep. Come find me. All right.
So I will say this though, comparing the theatrical cut to the director's cut, the point where Matt is going to try to find his dad. Like in the theatrical cut, he sees his dad beating up the one guy after he had already told him he's not working for Fallon. And then he like runs away and a report card, because he'd been working hard, report card falls on the ground. And I'm like, where the fuck did that report card come from? Didn't come from anywhere. In the director's cut, he is going to the work site, ask the foreman, hey, is Jack Murdoch around? He's like, Jack Murdoch? He hasn't worked here for months. And then he with his report card in hand throws it down. So, he's a typical New Yorker just littering everywhere. And then runs off and finds his dad in the alley and runs away from there. I know it's a tiny little thing, but for me, that report card showing up in the theatrical cut made no sense.
Maybe he was holding it in his hand the whole time, getting ready to show it to his dad.
He wasn't. That's the plan. He was in the director's cut. He wasn't in the regular.
Well, see, that's what happens when you cut things out of a movie that has already been filmed and you don't put any forethought to it.
Which, yeah, actually, this is a good time to mention, which I mentioned it before we started recording. This director's cut was supposed to be the cut that went to theaters. But 20th Century Fox was like, hey, we want to make it PG-13 because it was an R-rated cut. We want to make it PG-13 to get more viewers to come to it, which is ironic because the scene where Matt takes Elektra up to the roof and the rain comes down, they have that beautiful moment, and he has to leave to go stop a crime or whatever. In the director's cut, he leaves. Like he leaves her on the roof and goes off. In the theatrical cut, she tells him to stay, and then they go have sex. How that is the PG-13 cut, I don't know.
Because they didn't say fuck while they were having sex, so it was okay.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I would buy that.
That's
So he gets his dad murked, right? And then he's a bully. He was bullied, then becomes a bully, beats the shit out of a bunch of kids and takes their milk money, I believe.
Well, yeah. Well,
I mean, you got to do what you got to do to survive when your dad's dead, and
and you are not put into foster care apparently, and you're not given any home, nothing.
That's another thing in the director's cut. You see, like the church picking him up, so he becomes. That's where most of his Catholic upbringing.
They don't explain that in the theatrical version of like why
that's what I'm saying.
Has so much faith in like Catholicism and stuff.
Like he gets, and I mean they explain it in the comics obviously better, but yeah, he gets picked up by I don't know if orphanage run by nuns or something, but at one point, which it was just one scene, I don't know, never comes back. Like they see him holding his dad's cross in the orphanage, I guess you could say, and like a nun is right there. So it's things that should have happened. Like the director's cut should have been the one that went to theaters, but
interesting.
It tells a better story because, like I was telling Ron, this one, director's cut also has a subplot where Matt and Foggy are in the courtroom trying to get Coolio off of a murder charge.
Look, Mama said take him out, okay?
But that's the thing, Mama didn't actually say that. He was drugged up on. It's actually pretty funny because he's like, Foggy's trying to get him to say, "Hey, you didn't own a handgun, right?" On the stand, he's like, "No, I don't own a handgun. Handguns are unreliable." Now a shotgun. He's like, "Thank you, Mr. Jackson. I don't need any more."
That's pretty good.
He's like, "You got those pellets, and it just goes everywhere. It's a wider spread." It was pretty great.
Speaking of the courtroom, that like hearing that they're in like the with the bald dude, yeah. So the terrible costume transition when Foggy's like, "Hey, you want to go out for a drink?" and Matt's like, "No, I got work to do." And then like it's just like a picture of him like sat still, and then it switches over to the costume.
It's the Batman scene. This is
Batman exactly.
Up.
And
which they show again later on when Elektra is fighting or suiting up or whatever.
I would have rather seen her de-suiting than suiting up, but I mean that's just me, and
that's just you.
Yeah. But then so when he is fighting like in that bar, he jumps up. Okay, so first off, he shoots his fucking billy club into the ceiling fan, and then stands on this fucking ceiling fan, full weight of a full ass grown man on a fucking ceiling fan. And like I don't know if you guys have ever installed a ceiling fan or seen how those ones are installed, but I'm sorry, but like those things probably couldn't hold my little fucking tiny ass cat over here, let alone a whole ass grown ass man.
That is the most. That has to be holding something else, like a bazooka or something in there. Like it's like the pull down drop, and it's like locked in, and you have to like do a certain like combination to get it to drop out. But
on certain nights, it's the pole dancing fan.
That's true. This is where the movie starts to kind of fall apart for me. It's the overarching story of they don't know which Daredevil they want to go with. Do they want cocky, arrogant, kind of a ladies' man like Matt Murdock from like the 70s and 80s? He was kind of like a playboy, and he was a good attorney. Because like here he's like
about good. We've read a few of those.
Yeah, mediocre at best.
Yeah, okay, mediocre, but not a shitty one. You know what I mean? Like he banks on his ability to be able to hear heartbeats and can tell when people are lying, but then can't translate that to like having the person like admit to the crime or prove that this person's lying, right?
Perjure themselves, yeah.
Right. So like it's like, do they want?
So what you're saying is because they did such a good job in the current, like the Daredevil TV show that we had a couple of years back, of him being a good lawyer, and then you go back to this where he's like, "Oh, yeah, he's lying."
Sure, but I felt this way before that even came out. Like just rewatching this as it went, it's like because they get those elements of like the very comic booky, cartoony 70s, 80s character, and then they're like, yeah, but we want the dark, gritty, like Frank Miller character here too. And those stories don't go together. They don't work in the same existence and universe, and that's where this starts to kind of fall apart for me because I love the Frank Miller like version of Daredevil, the dark and gritty, and he's fighting with like his faith, and this bastard is like kills his love interest and is like the worst kind of person and all of these things. But then they like try to cut it in with the whimsical laughy stuff when he's like when he's in the cafe and Elektra first walks in and stuff, where he's like this like arrogant, kind of misogynistic.
Like, yeah. Well, okay, so
there was
I've got two
more
notes
to that too in the director's cut.
I've got 2 notes for that interaction. First off, it was pretty rude of her to tell him, "I hope you find what you're looking for" when he's blind. But
I
second off,
appreciated that, actually.
dude
I
straight
thought
up
that was
needed to
good.
learn that no means no.
Oh yeah,
Like this is one of those things where kids watch this growing up and they're like, "Oh, so if I just keep being persistent and annoy this woman fucking ridiculously, she'll want to bang me."
yeah. No, this is 100% alpha male misogyny, like Mystic 2000s bullshit. Yeah,
And
Yep.
also, I think this is where Catwoman got the idea to have the basketball scene, because they fight in the park right there. And granted, like, there's a little bit of sexual tension, but it's nothing like over the top. It's mostly just 2 adults kicking each other's ass inside of a playground,
yeah.
and all the kids
Yeah.
around them like yelling "fight, fight, fight," instead of 2 grown adults like trying to hump each other playing basketball while kids are around going, "Oh, is that what? Oh, that's how that works." Okay.
Yeah. But I will say where it does so they start to plant the seeds of like where I disconnect from this, but then they get me back when when the news reporter's there and he throws the in the
Yurik.
subway
Yeah.
and he throws
Yep.
the thing and the flaming double D pops up and I'm just like, oh, I love the idea that Daredevil carries lighter fluid around with him and does it. If people just happen to just like have a match and they throw it, like it was so good. Like, was there something in the director's cut where it's like, oh, we've seen this before, and they like otherwise are we just supposed to assume that he just randomly knows that this is the thing?
No,
Matt
same exact
slipped
scene
Ben
played out.
a 5 note and a hey, light this on fire so it looks cool.
It's kind of the most
Yurik-
Batman thing ever, right? It's like he's like giving the information to like the journalists and the cops and stuff like that of just like, hey, throw this, it's gonna look really.
No, I mean, it's also kind of very Punisher-y. And I'm thinking specifically Punisher Warzone, which we'll get to in the future, where Castle kind of had either the cop or one of the reporters who he talked to constantly, just always on the speed dial, basically. But
That's
speaking of Yurik, he is more prominent in. So both Yurik and Foggy are more prominent in the director's cut. Elektra
As they should
is
be, I
about
mean.
the same. They should be.
What about Karen? Because
'cause I
we
know-
see Karen for 10 seconds in this movie.
You get more Karen in director's cut. She actually helps out Foggy for a little bit.
Oh yeah.
Helping with one, not that, helping with one like problem he's trying to figure out.
Oh, good old Karen Page.
Yeah.
Yeah, because what Dr. Gray from Grey's Anatomy, is that her
Yep.
name? I don't Meredith,
Yeah.
whatever.
Yeah, that's what she's like famous for. Yeah.
Yeah, like I saw her, I'm like, wait, how do I know her? Where do I recognize her from? And that was
Oh, you didn't know her from her one run in Friends? One episode in
because
Friends?
I don't really watch Friends.
You don't remember
Unlike
her
my
from the
s-
2002
sister who
hit
watched them
Catch Me
all
If
the
You
time.
Can?
Actually, never saw that movie.
Was that the one with Tom Hanks?
Yeah, and
that
Leonardo
was-
DiCaprio.
Yeah, Leonardo DiCaprio.
You don't remember her from her monster role in Doc McStuffins from 2012 kids show?
Is that a porn?
No.
I mean, probably.
It's called Doc McStuffins and it's not a porn.
No, it's a kid show.
It's called Doc McStuffins and it's a kid's show.
I didn't write the fucking show, man. What do you want from me?
I want answers, Chuck.
She was in Strangers with Candy and Old School. Okay. Anyway.
But yeah, no, like Yurik does a lot more detective work in the director's cut than he does in the other one. Because at one point when Matt and Foggy are going to that ball that Elektra invited them to.
Cool
Yurik's
color.
there.
Thanks. I wouldn't know.
Yeah. It definitely seemed like he knew Matt was Daredevil. Like he was giving off very like large hints to that.
Yeah.
But that was like the second time we saw him in the theatrical cut. In the director's cut, he shows up to like talking to Matt specifically like 3 different times before they get to the ball, and then like 4 times afterwards. It's he just plays a bigger role.
So speaking of being at the ball, when Foggy is standing by the stairs after Matt walks away from him, why does the statue of the bird have huge tits?
Because that's what statues do, I guess.
Like, no. This is in a like upper class, like ridiculously wealthy
Greek.
There's
home. Upper class, ridiculously wealthy.
Exactly.
Greek home.
So if it would have been Greek, it would have been a fat chick with big tits.
Technically, it would have been a guy with big tits, a naked guy with big tits,
But, and a tiny peepee.
It would have been Meatloaf, actually, exactly. Specifically.
Yeah, but there you go.
Yeah.
Didn't I just say that?
Ooh.
Yeah.
One other.
I told you it was in this movie. Like nobody ever listens to it.
One other scene that was in the director's cut was our introduction to Kingpin. Like when he first shows up, he's talking to his guy Wesley. When Wesley's like, "Hey, word's out, the Kingpin is names being out there," and he's like, "Yeah, so that just means that we've got people chattering." And he goes over to his bodyguards and he just snaps both their necks,
which is bad.
He's like, "I can't trust anybody." It was very badass.
It's so badass. I will say
Michael Clark Duncan. God, I miss that man.
100%.
Michael Clark Duncan is the best. He's the best Kingpin. I feel like there's like generationally.
Vincent D'Onofrio is really good.
I listen. I don't disagree with that, and I think they do a really good job. But like, I feel like everyone has their Kingpin, like just like everybody has their Joker, right? It's like, is it Nicholson? Is it Heath Ledger? Is it I don't know, Leto for some reason? Like whatever. For me, like Michael Clark Duncan, like Kingpin is Michael Clark Duncan, and I agree that there's other ones that probably are better, but that was mine. You know what I mean? Like this was one.
Yeah, 100%.
And like
it was one of those things
he's
where
better
I'm like,
than the animated cartoon.
See him. He actually. So funny enough, you talk about the Spider-Man animated from the 90s.
Like Spider-Man animated series. That was like my first introduction to like Kingpin.
Same. Apparently, according to IMDb, Duncan reprised the role of Kingpin in the 2003 animated Spider-Man. I think that's the MTV one we were talking about not too long ago.
Interesting.
Yeah, so yeah, he did the voice of that one. But no, like this was also one of those things where we had Spider-Man 1 had just come out, Spider-Man 2 was on the horizon, Daredevil's here. It's like I want to see Michael Clark Duncan. I want to see.
It is kind of weird that there wasn't that
fighting Spider-Man. That was all because of rights. So Sony had Spider-Man, Fox had Daredevil.
Gotcha. And now they
were
can't
trying
do
to keep them apart. No, now they can.
Well, no, they can't
because Sony is working with. Well, correct. They can't do it with Michael Clark.
Right.
Duncan.
No, I specifically want Michael Clark Duncan beating the shit out of Tobey Maguire for 26.5 minutes. That's what I want.
Okay.
Somebody make that happen. I would
love to have seen that.
AI generate that for me, please. That's all I'm asking.
Ooh, that'd be fun.
So, speaking of Ben Ulrich, though, do you remember when Ben Ulrich got arrested for trying to steal pirate treasure from a bunch of kids?
Is this
a Goonies reference?
Okay.
Oh my god!
I can see it. Yeah, I see.
Both of you. I can see like the wheels turning, and then you both came to it at the same time.
Well, because I went Percy Jackson at first because I remember him for Percy Jackson being the dick stepdad that gets killed.
Oh yeah, I forgot about those movies because they were terrible and I hated them.
The new show is already it's out in a few weeks. Time of recording, it's already out on Disney Plus. So, yeah. Anyway,
time of recording, it's out in a few weeks.
Yes, it's coming out December 20th.
Gotcha.
So time of release, it's already out on Disney.
So, when they're talking about when the Kingpin's like, or they're like, oh yeah, the Kingpin just doesn't kill you; he kills your whole family. You know. Like, that's why, he was worried about Elektra or whatever. Why is Matt still alive?
He'd be slipping.
Because at the time, Kingpin was working for Fallon. He wasn't his own boss yet. He was just Wilson Fisk. He wasn't Kingpin. Now he's Kingpin. And in theory, he should have went back and killed Matt just the principle alone, but
maybe that's why he was so open to talk to him at the ball.
you just
Did
sizing
he
him up,
know?
kind of a thing.
Yeah, I mean
No,
Matt
he didn't know
Murdock,
until the end.
Jack Murdock, the blind lawyer from Hell's
Oh, you're
Kitchen.
talking about that.
I mean, yeah, but did he really
He probably just didn't.
know?
I would like to say he probably just didn't care, but
But
he
no,
knew at the
Kingpin
end
is a
when Matt questioned him
meticulous.
about killing his dad.
Just saying.
Yeah, all right, I'll give you that. That's fine. It's oh no, Nick Stahl. Okay, never mind.
Nick
But,
Stahl. Who's Nick Stahl?
He plays the Yellow Bastard in Sin City, but when he's in the Yellow
Oh
Bastard,
yeah, he was in Terminator 3.
when he's in the Yellow Bastard makeup, he looks a lot like the guy who's on trial in the movie.
Oh,
The same round face and ears.
that's pretty bad. Which we'll be watching
Joe
Sin City in for too long.
Quesada.
Jose Quesada was
Quesada, yeah.
the character. Joe Quesada is the writer that did some
right.
stories for Daredevil. So
Paul Ben Victor.
there we go.
Yeah. Anyway, what are we talking about?
So Bullseye shows up, kills.
Talk about Bullseye. We haven't seen him in a while.
So when he first shows up and he's like drinking the beer and throwing the darts, right? Okay,
yeah.
That was great, fucking fantastic. And then
this was
when he
also
does
the first movie that Colin Farrell could use his actual Irish accent. So
is that actually what he sounds like?
Yeah.
Oh, because see, I just thought he had a really terrible accent.
That's just his accent.
Because it seemed I don't know, it just seemed over the top. But it could have also just been the fact that like everything that he did yeah.
I want to know what the direction was when they were trying to get Colin Farrell to be Bullseye.
He was a big name at that point in time.
No, I get that. But were they just like do a bunch of coke and then just come on set? And you can just improv the whole thing, because like this is where the like 10 degrees from being a perfect movie for me comes in, because I remember watching this originally and being like, Bullseye is the dopest ever. He's his superpower, right, is just that he never misses. He always hits his target, which they don't do they do a pretty good job of like kind of laying that, and the fact that he's absolutely just a psychopath, which, you know, we see when Kingpin walks into his office and his guards are dead, and he's like, was that necessary? And he just goes, no, that was fun.
Well, also the airplane when he shoots the nut down the lady's throat.
Now, in his defense, though, like nobody wants to sit next to that lady.
Oh no, he's not the villain of the story, realistically speaking. He's doing God's work most of the time. But like, so they do like kind of a good way of like doing that, but his acting is just so over the top and bad.
Yeah.
It loses the legitimacy for me. Like, it's too much. It's kind of that same thing as like, what do we want? Do we want the goofy 80s cartoon comic book version of Daredevil, or do we want the dark Frank Miller, which like he was a sadistic bastard in the Frank Miller storyline, but he wasn't this goofy over the top version. Everything he did was like meticulous and sinister, and like had a reason for doing it, not for the sake of doing it. Am I wrong? Yeah. Do I not remember this correctly?
I mean, I don't know, because I've never read any Bullseye comics, so or
same. Like we never got to that in the comic rundown side, and we won't for a while. Because I don't know when Bullseye originally was created. I want to say probably in the 70s. Yeah,
so weirdly enough, I do know a lot about Bullseye because I was fascinated by the character. He was originally introduced in like late 70s, early 80s, and he's the dude who shoots Nick Fury.
Huh.
Oh.
Yeah, he's the guy who eventually kills Nick Fury. Hold please.
Okay. But speaking of Bullseye. And there's a scene in the director's cut where he's going into the airport, and it is a little more, I don't want to say flamboyant, but like he's riding up the escalator and he's just got his arms out by himself on the escalator because he can, goes through the metal detector. He takes out a pen and a toothpick, and then the thing goes off. Obviously, they wave the wand on him. They wave it around his belt, where he's got all the shurikens, lets it go, waves it around his mouth. He's got a paper clip in his mouth. So
I think, and that's cool, right? Like that was one of his things. Is he also had improvised weaponry. He could make anything a weapon
all the time.
Yeah, which was
except here's the thing though. This happened post 9/11. How did he get through security like that? Come on.
Because it was filmed in 2001.
Was it?
I got nothing on that one. No, I don't know.
I didn't look at the skyline to see if the Twin Towers were there or not, so I don't know.
That would be one that they probably took out, similar to Spider-Man, like post-production.
Yeah. So we get Elektra fighting a bunch of.
This was the first introduction of Bullseye.
Wrong one. Sorry, here we go.
So this is the first introduction of Bullseye. He shot Nick Fury.
Wrong layout.
I want a costume.
Yeah. Okay. We'll get there because that was so infuriating for me, but it's fine.
Because he didn't end up with a costume?
Yeah, mainly. Yep. 100%.
Like I was hoping for the Bullseye mask, like the one that's, where he's got the tattoo or the indent on his forehead or whatever. Branded himself. I don't know.
So but, I liked that as an idea of like getting the idea across that he is that he's not mentally okay. Like the idea that he's like carved a bullseye into his head, right? And that was,
and then he touches it all the time.
That's true. And he's like, "Oh, Bullseye, remember the name." Right? Like, I also realized I referenced this movie way more than I realized. Going back and rewatching it, I was like, "Oh my god, I used to say this stuff all the time, and I thought I was so cool." And then it's just like, "Oh, it's so cringy." But just like, yeah, I don't know. Anyway, where were we? Sorry. I'm gonna get.
He actually in the
10 minutes.
Director's cut, he actually does say, "I want a fucking costume." So.
Oh, there you go. See, that's why I got the R rating.
Yeah. Yep.
Got the one F-bomb.
Yeah, but so we get, when Bullseye kills Elektra's dad, and she thinks Daredevil did it because he used Daredevil's billy club. But then when she is training to kill Daredevil and she's like attacking the sandbags, why the fuck are her sais sharp? Like, okay, sais are used for stabbing, not slicing.
Sure. I was going to ask,
I think she was slicing with
her
with the tip, wasn't she? Like, isn't the tip super sharp? So you should be able to like slash with it.
But it would just tear because they're sandbags. Like they're just hanging sandbags. If it was a stationary something, yes. But in order to cut like that, you would have to have a cutting surface that was super sharp. Like the tips are just pointed.
It's comic book logic, man. I don't know.
I mean, yeah, that's why it's on the bingo list. But
that's her superpower.
I was going to ask
the ability to slice things with ineligible slicing ability.
I thought her superpower was she was autistic.
That too.
Was standing there releasing the bags because otherwise those things were on a timer and she was doing a terrible job. Like the servant had to release all the bags and then watch as she cuts them all and be like, "I gotta clean this up later."
Oh yes, very good.
Who had to clean that mess up? Like who had? That was awful. That was so mean.
Maybe nobody, because she dies shortly thereafter and the house just goes into.
Yeah. The butler looks at it, he's like, "Fuck that! I'm not cleaning this shit up until she gets back and I know she's alive." But then, okay, so when Elektra is fighting Daredevil on the rooftop, and he's like, "It wasn't me. It was a hitman named Bullseye." How the fuck did he know who Bullseye was?
That goes back to director's cut. He'd already been hearing stuff about it, because according in director's cut, Uric. No, he's this is a little bit tied into the subplot of the trial that him and Matt are defending. There's a cop in there who has a pacemaker, so when he goes and gets put on the stand, the cop lies. Matt's like, "Oh, he's telling the truth," because his pacemaker obviously is regulating his heartbeat. He finds out he's got a pacemaker, goes basically harasses him as Matt and not Daredevil, which is very interesting. And that cop basically says it's Kingpin. When Kingpin, wants your family dead, he's gonna, he's gonna kill your whole family, and he's got a hitman out to do it. So, like, it gets revealed there. It goes back to your saying of like, sometimes the direct cut should have came out because it actually,
makes the story make sense.
The full story. Yeah.
And then when Elektra is fighting against Bullseye, okay, I get it. Ranged, yeah. Him throwing the scythe through her hand, fucking great, right? Because he knew exactly where to throw it, where she was going to try to catch it, and she was going to get stuck in her. But when they get into hand-to-hand combat, how does somebody that has decades of fucking training since they were a kid get their ass kicked by somebody whose only superpower is he doesn't miss?
But he does miss with Daredevil.
I don't want to.
I wasn't listening. What were we saying?
I don't want to talk about it. I don't want to talk.
But like, okay, so how does Elektra get her ass kicked by Bullseye? That's what I'm asking. Now, if they would have stayed ranged, it would have made sense.
What you don't know is that, listen, she's good, baby, and he'll give her that. But him, he's magic. I said that shit so much when I was a kid.
Goddamn, you
good,
were
baby,
cringe.
I'll give you that, but me, I'm magic. Oh my god, the lines in this are so good. Anyway,
I mean, good might not be what I would.
2000,
yeah,
2003, like would I have been? Math.
2003, I was
14-year-old Charlie. 14-year-old Charlie thought he was the dopest piece of shit on the planet, saying that. Oh my god.
This was
fun. I almost carved a bullseye in head because I just wanted to point it at it. Like that's
good thing you did.
Well, I don't know.
No, see, then we'd be seeing Chuck in like news articles. Man tried to kill person again. I never miss. Oh.
Well, listen, I am actually pretty good. I have a pretty good record of throwing things into holes. So.
But yeah, so then we get the second of the famous panels to screen scene of Daredevil or of Bullseye stabbing the Psy through Elektra. The first one
Bullseye, the strongest man on the planet, being able to lift her up a scythe.
Oh, she lost some blood when he cut her neck.
Dude, she's not even that big of a person if you really think about it. I could pick her up on my pointy thing.
Farrell was looking real scrawny. Like we saw him majority of the time without in just a girlfriend respecter. Okay. So like it's not there was muscle tone there. This was before CrossFit.
Nice. Yeah, so
why were there bats in the organ during the fight in the church?
That's a great question.
Because apparently they don't play the organ much.
A church organ gets used every fucking Sunday, especially in a Catholic church. And they're probably playing it on fucking Wednesdays too. No animal.
Yeah. See, that's funny.
It was like my church was Saturday night.
Nobody went to this church. Like that was the whole thing. It was like it was a struggling church. No, I don't know.
The church is that big.
Would have you say otherwise?
Yeah, see. One thing this movie did have going for it, though, is I love the fucking soundtrack. Like, I still listen to this soundtrack. I have it in my car.
Very nice. I mean, it's Evanescence comes on the radio. I'm like, oh yeah, hell yeah.
Oh yeah, no, this again, this is a time capsule of like my childhood. I had this soundtrack. It's what made me find Evanescence. It was the only soundtrack that's better than this is the Punisher soundtrack from 2004. So it gave me Evanescence. This thing shreds. It's so good. It gave me the best one-liners that I used for way too long in my life. I think that like the costume's dope as hell. The one costume that we get, I guess technically two, because they did a pretty good job of making Michael Clark Duncan look like Kingpin in a suit. Pretty much all he ever wore. Until
You could argue that Elektra had a costume and Bullseye had a costume. It's just not like full costume, but
I have gotten to the point in 2020.
If you're going to consider Blade has a costume, Bullseye has a costume.
I don't consider him. Well, he has more of a costume.
Blade has a look, not a costume. He has a style.
Yeah. This is okay. So officially, I'm going to say it here on the record for Comic Book Rundown. If they don't have a mask or a helmet, it's not a costume.
What about Superman?
He took off his glasses, therefore making it a mask.
Took off his glasses. So Superman is the one exception, is the reverse rule of that, right? He has to pretend to be...
Clark Kent is a mask.
Yeah. The glasses are his mask.
Clark Kent is kind of a mask, yeah.
If there's no mask, then it doesn't count.
Wonder Woman has the
tiara.
Yeah,
tiara's a helmet.
But she's also never... again, her costume is the Diana personality. That's
true too. Though there isn't a lot of difference.
Punisher.
I would argue he never had a costume.
No, he doesn't have a costume. Everybody knows that he's fucking Frank Castle. Like,
yeah, I remember
that. He's got a T-shirt. It's got a fucking skull on it.
It's just a symbol.
It's a style choice.
Yeah, he's just a dude. He's just a dude with a gun. That's what makes him cool.
That's why cops like him. I'm sorry, what was that one?
Fantastic Four?
Yeah, technically.
But everybody knows who they are.
Yeah.
That's the thing. They have outfits. They don't have costumes.
Johnny Storm technically lights himself on fire. Then he's actually the Human Torch. It's kind of hard to tell who he is. The Thing is just the Thing. He loses the identity of Ben Grimm. He's no longer there. Reed Richards is statistical to not be Reed Richards, Mr. Fantastic, so he doesn't want to cover his face up. And Invisible Woman just disappears. Nobody cares about
Storm. Her. Yeah. Namor cares about her, but that's a whole different matter. Namor. There you go. He doesn't have a costume.
That's everybody knows who Namor is because he is.
He doesn't even have an he doesn't have an alias. He doesn't have a secret identity. He is Namor.
Okay, what about some of the
point
X-Men?
of a costume? The point of a costume in a movie, like the point of a superhero having a costume, is to hide his identity so people don't know who he truly is. Right? Isn't that the whole point of a costume?
That's why Spider-Man is the only one that really does it right.
Wears a mask so people don't know he's Bruce Wayne.
But see, that's the thing. He still doesn't do it right because his chin is showing and his mouth is showing. Right?
He talks like this so nobody can tell.
But no, it's not about that. Okay. He's gonna get a cut. He's gonna get hit. And there's gonna be like this scrape on his face. It starts right here.
Yeah, but the cops have to know he's white.
Oh, that's fair. Or he'll get shot.
Yeah.
That's why they're always shooting at Spider-Man.
Exactly.
I do always laugh that there's a comic panel where he's on trial. Like J. Jonah Jameson is suing, I think, Spider-Man for something, and so he's on trial. And the lawyer's like, "So why do you think Jameson is always after you?" And Spider-Man is like, "I don't know. I think it's because I'm black and he just hates black people." And Jonah's like, "What? No, that's not. I didn't know. Wait."
That's actually really good. I really like that. That's really good. All right. Anyway, the point is, they don't have.
Okay, fair.
Yeah. She doesn't even have an alias name. Her first name is Elektra.
One costume in this movie then with Daredevil, because you had said Kingpin looks like Kingpin, but Kingpin doesn't have a costume.
Yeah,
he has a look. He has a style.
True. Everybody knows that Wilson Fisk is Kingpin. So if the idea,
everybody does now.
Yeah,
right, but if the whole point is the costume is supposed to hide your identity, then don't wear a costume if they don't have a helmet or a mask.
Okay, I can agree to that. Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. Can we talk about the the best sniper in the world that can see through painted stained glass window and know exactly where Daredevil is at? Because he did that.
Yeah, so what they were using was a X-ray
Sonar.
device on the end of the gun.
And
You
they
know, in
decided to shoot
Call of Duty,
Daredevil and not they decided to shoot Daredevil who was defending himself and not the guy who was trying to stab him.
I
And
mean,
they're both
yeah,
white,
because
so-
Daredevil's look, they're cops. Daredevil's making them look bad.
So we have this scene, right? Where he breaks the glass, and then in the most over the top, stupidest look you've ever
No fucking way.
seen, does he just daintily dance catches all of those pieces of glass through the, like, you could tell that, like, they were just like, okay, so imagine in your mind the glass is going to be falling at you and you have to catch it. And then Colin Farrell did a line of coke and he's like, I got you, no worries. And it just starts like the most ridiculous, like, two-finger pinch grab, all of this. That scene is burned into my memory and I was just like, oh my god, I forgot about this.
Okay.
But at the time, thought it was the coolest thing I've ever
So
seen.
on top of
he's
that,
so dope.
On top of that, though, when he throws his first handful of them, like he's holding it flat on his palm, and he just goes like this, and they all fly out in like in sequential order, and then it shows him later on the second hand, like throwing them off like he's fucking like
he's just like slinging.
He's
them.
like, make it rain.
It's so dope. It's so cool.
The second one, sure. The first one, not so much.
But what doesn't make any sense is then he proceeds to throw them in a straight line directly above, like slightly above Daredevil, who's doing backflips. You should have shot him in a second. Daredevil doesn't move from the position he's in. He's just moving backwards. You're flinging every single shot over him. You know where he is. Unless the idea, and maybe they do it in the director's cut, where they like talk about the fact that like Daredevil has Bullseye in his pocket now, right? Like he's in his head, and he's just like, oh, this is the guy who made me miss, and now he's just completely messed up by that, and just now misses any time he tries to get Daredevil. No, they don't do that.
Don't bring it up at all.
Stupid.
Because he figures out he rings the bell and he figures out that he can hear, like he's got extra hearing or something. So like when he starts making sound, it throws Daredevil off, and then like starts hitting him, like actually damaging him. So I don't know. I am surprised that Bullseye survived a 10-story fall to the ground and smash into Urich's car.
Dude, and the funniest thing about that is when the cops surround him, one of them yells, "Don't move."
Oh, I always thought the funniest thing was when Urich gets out and the one cop like points his gun at him. He's like, no.
No, dude, the dude just fell out of a fucking 4-story fall onto a car. And the first thing the cop says to him when he pulls out his gun is, "Don't move." Like, what was he going to do? Jump up and be like, "Ah, surprise, motherfuckers."
I mean, he might. You never know. What else is there? So, okay, give you a couple of things in the...
Wait, before you do that.
Okay.
So, when Foggy hands Matt the mustard instead of the honey, right?
Yeah.
Matt knew it was mustard.
Yes.
Obviously.
I smell it.
How did Foggy pick up that fucking cup of coffee that was in front of him and not smell 10 pounds of fucking mustard in that motherfucker? You get a drip of mustard on something and all you can smell is fucking mustard.
Not wrong.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe because I got diluted from the coffee or the tea they were having.
No, that's that. No.
No, I refuse to accept that as an excuse.
Dude, look, I'm sorry, but there's no amount of coffee in a cup that small that could get rid of the mustard smell of all the mustard that he put in there. Because he was squeezing that mustard for like a good 5 seconds into there. Which I respect because that's how much honey I put in my tea also. But
that's true. You like honey with a little bit of tea.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I want the sweet flavor of honey with a little bit of the flavor of whatever tea I'm having. Yeah.
Kind of true. I will
Okay.
say this. If we're wrapping up here, as we get to the climactic fight scene between Daredevil and Kingpin. Right? Kingpin says just the coldest shit I've ever fucking heard in my entire life. That I repeatedly said over and over and over again. Wesley walks in. We have a problem. Kingpin, bullseye failed. Wesley, correct. Kingpin, send the guard home. Wesley, confused, but sir. And then the thing I have always said ever since then, Kingpin, I was raised in the Bronx, Wesley. This is just something you wouldn't understand. I had never been to the Bronx in my entire life, but that was the coldest shit I had ever heard. And I was just like, yo, Kingpin.
Chuck's like, I was raised in Odeonta. This is just something you wouldn't understand.
Something you don't understand. I was just like, that was the call. I remember in the theater watching that, I go, oh, Daredevil's going to get the shit kicked out of him, which is stupid because if I should have known this was like the movie, you know what I mean? And I just was like, oh, this isn't good. And kind of an anticlimactic fight scene. Like,
yeah,
I know
a little bit.
He's got the staff that doubles as a mace, apparently, that weighs 37 pounds.
I mean, you try to get hit in the head with by that,
yeah,
snap your neck
that's
like
clearly
bodyguards.
all just steel. Like that is just a steel casted club.
One of my favorite, and this is just a side tangent, one of my favorite stories of Michael Clark Duncan, because he's such a big, brooding hulk of a man, is on the set of Scorpion King with Dwayne Johnson. The scene when the two of them clash swords for the first time in that movie, those were real swords. Those real swords really broke when they both came at each other. And those real swords were flying everywhere. And that's a legitimate look of both those guys of shock in that movie. Freaking love that.
That is fucking awesome.
That's actually pretty rad. That's actually pretty rad. Okay.
Yeah. But no, you're not wrong with this. I mean, this fight wasn't super like it wasn't the best fight of the movie, but it wasn't like.
I mean, I just hated the idea that all he had to do was break his kneecaps and like that just shut him down. Because like the whole point of Kingpin is that he's just solid mass and he's like kind of indestructible.
That's what I'm saying. Like a kick from Daredevil like that would not have broken that dude's kneecaps.
Especially a dude who just had the shit, because he even shows up. He's like, I wish I had gotten you at 100%. And then all of a sudden he's just able to beat the piss out of him.
Yeah, because you just got in a fight with Electro, got stabbed through the shoulder. You just got in a fight with Bullseye, and he kind of rung your bell a little bit. Yeah, he's definitely not nowhere near 100%. And then he takes out Daredevil. I guess he takes out Kingpin. He just had to find that extra. Well, he had the motivation of his girl he loves,
because he got the dog in him,
Yeah, it's true. That and the fact that it was business. It's all it ever was. Business. I was working with the Fallon family at the time, and your father was supposed to throw the fight, and your girl was in the wrong family at the wrong time. It's all about business, and you've been in my business for too long. The coldest shit ever, as he's beating the piss out of him. It was so good. Anyway, the thing that I hate about the ending of this movie is because you could definitely tell that Ben Affleck just wanted to be Batman. He just wanted this to be the Batman character because
and it only took him 20 years.
Because then he goes to like with the club, and you can tell, he's gonna club him and let kill him, and he doesn't. He drops it right on the ground, and Kingpin's like, I don't understand, and Daredevil just is like, I'm not the bad guy. And then, runs away to leave him to get arrested by the cops, which we know. Do they even do it in the director's cut?
So one of the big scenes, the whole subplot of that trial, Wesley is a protagonist in the murder of the girl that Coolio is framed for.
Right.
And so the cop is like basically finds Wesley after he leaves Kingpin at a bar getting drunk. He's like, hey, so I'm going to talk to you real quick, and we're going to talk, like, once I get done talking, if you want to maybe have a plea deal.
Right.
So he basically gives up Kingpin to kind of save his own ass, sort of. They both end up in jail. They both end up in prison next to each other. Because,
but then
they find the information they need on Kingpin from Wesley.
Okay. But I'm not crazy. I remember them saying, because then, so he gets arrested, whatever, and we have the sad, lonely walk down the thing that Elektra's dead, but she's not actually dead, to set up for the spinoff sequel thing. And then we have Colin Farrell laying in the bed.
There's a mid-credit scene,
yeah,
which in the director's cut, that's just a scene in the movie. Like it's at the end of the movie, but it's not
because it's
not
so good
after the credits.
It's so good because he just can't help himself. He needs to prove to himself that he can still do it. So then he picks up the needle and he kills the fly. But am I not remembering it correctly? But the TV says that Kingpin gets off.
Yeah, that's because they put Wesley in the same cell as him. Clunk, clunk, clunk.
There it is. We had to work toward it. We got there.
Side cells. No, well, director's cut, they pan away from him in sitting behind bars, Wesley in the cell next to him, and then they pan to a different part of I'm assuming the medical wing of the prison where Bullseye is,
right.
Killing the fly. And then it jumps to Matt.
He's not handcuffed to that bed. He's not handcuffed to that bed at all.
I mean, every single bone in his body's broken, so you don't.
But he's still able to. He's still able to pick up a needle and throw it. So obviously he needs to be handcuffed.
But the two dumb guards standing outside didn't see that.
All right. Whatever. There is a scene where
Urich comes up to Matt, is like, "Hey, so I wrote the story about the Kingpin. I'm also going to write the story about Daredevil, and I'm giving you a heads up before it hits the papers tomorrow." And Matt's just like, "Yeah, but if you do that, I'm ruined. Like, you can't do that." It's like, "Yeah, but I'm a journalist, so fuck off."
Right. And then he does the one thing that a journalist would never do, which is delete his story.
Yeah.
Like, come on, that's bullshit. He has the biggest scoop on the planet that he knows exactly who it is. And this idea that is like, oh, well, Hell's Kitchen needs Daredevil more than I need this story. Bullshit. You are about to break the biggest fucking story in your city. What are you talking about?
Yeah.
Well, the biggest story in Hell's Kitchen, anyway. I mean,
that's true. He only operates in Hell's Kitchen, as we know.
Yeah.
Yeah. Which is weird because wasn't he part of the Daily Bugle at one point in time?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. So, but yeah, that's the movie.
It's so good.
Like I said, I like the director's cut better. Just
I wish I would have watched the director's cut now because so many things would have made so much more sense.
I can let you borrow it sometime.
I mean, I don't actually want to watch it. I said I wish I would have watched it.
I said sometime. I didn't say right now. But yeah, no. So
what was our kill count on that?
Got 13. Now, according to the internet, they were counting everybody in the bar as being killed.
I don't think everybody died in the bar, though.
I did not. Yeah, like they were just getting knocked out or thrown off the ledge. So there was only like maybe 3 kills in the bar because they had 20, and I'm like, no, there's not 20 people dying here. So I got a total of 13 kills throughout the movie. Elektra does count as a kill because she did die, even though we see that she had left the Braille necklace at the very end for Matt. She still died.
I mean, it's canon once you watch Elektra, yeah.
Yeah. What we got for our bingo?
Okay, so we have a cameo. We have dead parents. We have an origin reveal. We have an training montage. We have an identity reveal to a love interest. We have implied nudity, unexplainable science, product placement, lots of product placement. Betrayal by a friend, because technically, Elektra was his friend until she stabbed him. And comic logic, of course.
I'm iffy on that betrayal by a friend one. But There was some, I'm gonna say some nudity in the director's cut, and it's really more
Anything
just
good?
underboob. No, because
No.
it's at the bar.
Ben Affleck
There's
hangs
these-
dong, actually.
He shows that bat dick. So there is in the bar, there is these two bikers who are not supposed to have their bike in the bar, but then this like one chick lifts up her top, but you don't see anything. Like you see side boob and under boob, but that's about it.
Lame.
You
No,
don't
that's
see
boring.
Nick. Yeah.
Lame.
Spawn Cape Continuum.
So I think it still holds up for the most part. There's some stuff where it looks not the best. The glass throwing scene looks pretty silly because those are like CGI'd pieces of glass flying through. And I only remember that because the DVD on TV was like, look at the state of the art technology that we're using to CGI these pieces of glass in as it goes over the practical effects. But I still think the radar, like the sonic radar, still looks cool because it looked crude because it's supposed to look crude, like right? Like it's just Sonic. It shouldn't look good. I agree. The sniper part looked a little silly. The like X-ray through the glass sniper, which is not humanly possible with technology. Yeah. I'll be honest, I think that this deserves like a 8 out of 10 Spawn Cape continuums. Like it still looks good. I think it still holds up.
I agree because there are some parts where like it transitions from him being CGI'd a bit, to him being an actual like person, and it is
him parkouring
a really
off the
good transition.
Really good.
Yeah.
The bike, the him kicking Bullseye off of the motorcycle in the street, not so well.
True,
but
it
all
goes
the
so
rooftop
fast
scenes
though.
were
Like
great.
it goes so fast that it's not
well, and it helps that it's at night. You know,
Yeah.
like
and it's not like it's the scene in Blade where there's CGI characters fighting each other.
Right.
Yeah.
Everything, all the fight scenes for the most part were practical. So the only
I would say the church scene, some of the church fighting it reminded me of Blade 2 a little bit, but not all of it. Just like when they were fighting on the pipes.
Yeah, okay, I'll give you pipes.
But but the rest of the fight though, like every other fight, it was all pretty practical. They're all.
I would argue the worst CGI scene is the rain, like the like when he's in Elektra and he can finally see her because of the rain. Yeah, because that looks kind of rough. That looks
especially since it looks nothing like her.
Yeah, it looks nothing like her. It's kind of weird, but
he's like, man, you're so beautiful. And he's like, you're just there in your head. You're like, but it doesn't look like what she looks like. And he's like, oh.
It's like the ultimate beer goggles that you can never get rid of. Like it's horrible. It's awful.
Wonderful. So that brings us to our score. Chuck, what do you give this out of 10?
All right. As we all know, I have to write off. Is it a 5? Is this a Daredevil movie? Yeah, this is a Daredevil movie. 100%. And everything about it, nostalgia still holds up. Though I do agree, it's about 10 degrees off from being like super good. There's enough of this that it does kind of hurt its score, and I am 100% looking through it with nostalgic lenses. I know this, but when this movie came out, I remember a lot of people not loving it as much as I did, and me being like, "This is the hill I'm going to die on. That this is the best superhero movie that's come out yet," which was weird. A weird take for me. I don't know why, but I always loved Daredevil too. I loved Frank Miller's run. I had read it when it like first came out in paperback, or whenever I found it first in paperback, and read it, and I was just like, this is a dark, gritty, cool version. He has a cool costume. The drawing was awesome because I was a Frank Miller fan at that time. 7.8. I'm gonna sit at a 7.8. It's not quite an 8 for me because again, it's just like Colin Farrell kind of ruins it for me. I don't know. Like,
I will agree to that. I thought I did not like him in this movie at all. So.
I don't like Colin Farrell over the top Bullseye, and I don't like Ben Affleck's Matt Murdock. I like his Daredevil.
Fair also.
I don't like his Matt Murdock.
Ironically, he actually read for the role of Bullseye, and then I think Kevin Smith was like, "Hey, like, I don't." Yeah, he probably would have been not great.
And the fact that we never got a costume for Bullseye is upsetting to me.
Yeah,
they never even tease it.
Fair.
Like they could have done like the same concept suit of like the like leather, like just put a bullseye on it. That's all they needed to do. But they
Which
don't.
I think is what they kind of did in the show. I haven't watched season 3, so I can't really tell you.
Yeah, I haven't
on
seen
that
season
one,
3
but
either, I don't think. I was trying to watch them all
I need
in
to watch
order.
it before the new show comes out next year.
Yeah.
Same. I did too, but I dropped off at season 3 of Bullseye or Daredevil, so I haven't seen the final season of Jessica Jones and Punisher yet because of that.
I think I got to season 2 of Punisher and I kind of tapped out. Though I do like Jigsaw, so I don't know why I did, but yo, I'm hyped for Punisher 2004. My God, that movie was.
We are not too far away from that. So
I would argue Punisher 2004 is my Willow. So we're gonna see how that goes. But yeah, if this is my Batman, if this is my Joey's Batman, Punisher is my Ron's Willow. Because it's a movie that it's not good, but I just love it for the sake of living it on nostalgia, and everybody else is gonna hate that I'm gonna rave about how great it is.
Dude, I love that movie too. I watch the movie all the time, so I'm right in the same boat. Not Willow level, but right there. Ron, what's your score?
Okay, so given that during the sex scene we don't get to see any nudity, actual nudity, which is a little disappointing since they put that scene in just for this movie, like just for this cut of the movie.
They also put in the confession scenes as well, so that's a whole different matter.
But all joking aside, it wasn't a terrible movie. It definitely wasn't as good as I remember it being, but it also wasn't as bad as I was expecting it to be, if that makes any sense. I mean, there are terrible parts in it, like we said, Colin Farrell, everything about him. The fact that they, when you first meet Elektra, they made her eyes, ridiculously green. Like, it was sticking out in the camera like they were glowing green almost, which was a little weird.
Yeah.
And there were just some other, I gave it a 6.66.
Nice.
You devil. Wow.
Oh,
okay.
Joey. What's your score?
So this movie still holds up to me. This movie was fun. I really, really, really enjoyed it. And then watching the director's cut made me just enjoy the movie even more because we get more of a story. So yes, there are some bad things in them. For the theatrical cut alone, there are some bad moments, some bad elements, only because they didn't tell the story that they were telling, got chopped up and butchered, basically. But still was a lot of fun. Some of the CGI was meh, but like we had talked about, a lot of them was practical and was really good. I give this a 7.3. This was a really good movie. I really enjoyed it. And like I said, I gave the director's cut a full point over. So I gave the director's cut 8.3 because of story alone. So I'm really happy with this movie, which gives us a combined score of 7.25. Which
not a bad score. I think that sits where it should.
Oh, so it puts it right there with Doctor Strange from 1978, the Batman Mask of the Phantasm, and Hellboy Sword of Storms. All three of those were a 7.25. So it's basically tied at number 15.
I'd argue that it's a strong 7.25.
It really is. It'd be
I think you could almost say it's like a 7.3. In comparison to those.
No, it came out 7.253, and I have to round down. So
fair, but when I look at the other 7.25s in that, I didn't see I wasn't Doctor Strange. I've seen the Batman.
Dude, the Doctor Strange was surprisingly good for its time. I was actually
one of our first ones. So
I was just talking about that movie last night, actually, because I was talking to a dude that was we were talking about how like some of the movies from earlier on weren't as good. And I was like, but this movie, for being a made-for-TV movie in the 70s, it was actually pretty legit. You should go watch it. It's on probably something.
I'll hunt it
probably
down.
on Daily Motion, more than likely.
Yeah, but like Into the Phantasm, like that's an animated movie, and I really like that movie. Did I watch this? That no, that was not.
You were
the one
not
I was
on with
for.
Hellboy. You watched the other one.
Yeah, you watched the shitty Hellboy movie, not
the shitty one. Yeah, I think that's a good spot for it. I think it's where it should be sitting. So it's pretty good. I'm happy with it.
I mean, 15 out of 77.
Yeah,
it's up there.
Top 20. I'm okay with that. Yeah. Again, I don't think any of us thought this was the best. This is not the best superhero movie ever made, but it's definitely not the worst because we've got some worse ones. Catwoman.
We've watched some worse ones.
We've got worse.
We got a few more coming up.
I was gonna say we've got worse movie this era coming up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What Fantastic Four could have been anyway.
Well, also Ang Lee's Hulk, like that one.
Oh,
could have been great.
Yeah, that's like next, right? That's.
Wait, is that the one where he like gets bigger and bigger and bigger?
Yeah, they can't scale him correctly. Yep.
Yeah. Okay.
Eric Bana is plays.
I gotta double check between Hulk and X-Men 2, which one came out first. But yeah, that it's coming up. We'll be seeing it within a couple months. I'll just put it that way. But as for next, their next movie will be coming up right after you guys give your outros.
I thought he forgot.
Yeah, I thought he forgot that. I was ready to just destroy him.
Chuck, where can I find you?
You can find me on TikTok and Instagram, Kicked Out of the Hood, No Eating Kicked. You can follow my kitchen TikTok, Kicked Out of the Kitchen, No Eating Kicked. That's it. That's all I am. That's all I'm at. I might be making some Lorcana content over at Kicked Out of the Hobby, No Eating Kicked. We'll see. I don't know. It's a really fun game. If you never play it, it's hard to find product for it right now because it sells out quick, but it's Magic Light, but it's all Disney characters. It's a lot of fun. So I've
been hearing a lot of good things about it, so I haven't gotten to it yet.
The rollout is so atrocious. They can't keep product, and scalpers just buy it all up and flip it for crazy prices. But
I mean, yeah.
Shocker.
Yeah, I know.
Ron, where can I find you?
You can find me on TikTok and Instagram at Good at This Game. You can find me also on TikTok. Well, you can find my art on TikTok at Good Art This Game. And obviously, on podcasts like this one, specifically this one.
And this one alone.
That's not true. I've been on your other podcast before.
Oh, yeah, that's true. You got to find this show, Comic Book Rundown, on Twitter at Comic Rundown, on Instagram, Comic Book Rundown, on Threads at Comic Book Rundown. Email us, comicbookrundown@gmail.com. We're also on YouTube, which have actually been getting a lot of decent views. So keep watching.
I did promote us last night, awesome. So we'll get at least one more view.
Yeah. And if you're watching on YouTube, make sure you like, subscribe, hit that bell for notifications.
Yeah, all that stuff that everybody always does.
Throw down in the comments what your favorite scene was and why it's Colin Farrell doped up on coke, grabbing glass. You know what I mean? Like, it's the best scene.
Pretty great. We've got our song was done by Cam from One Half. Nope, no, we don't do that.
Nope.
Yeah,
just Cam. Not even Dr. Cam yet.
Not yet. And eventually, I'll figure out how to actually put the song on the YouTube. Maybe. That's the other thing. I don't know how to do that. We've got merch over on Redbubble and TeePublic, and you can rate and review us on your podcasting app of choice or on any of the social medias. And if you do, we'll appreciate it.
The easiest way to put it on is to just play it before every episode starts. Like before you hit record and then you just play it. You hold your phone up to the microphone like we used to over at the Lady Showdown.
Did you used to do that?
For a lot of the stuff we had to play, I would just hold my phone up to the microphone. It worked out really well.
Okay, because I want to just have the background and then us fading in. That's a lot.
Yeah,
but
no.
Maybe I'll have to start doing that.
Yeah, you don't get paid enough. Speaking of getting paid, head over to patreon.com/professional-casual. As little as $1 get hot access to that hot Discord. But the 301 tier, that's where you want to be. That supports this show directly. Gets money in our pockets. I got to pay off these headphones that I just bought. I finally got new headphones. And
I
you
got
know,
to pay off
Joey
watching
actually
4 movies in one review.
Yeah, Joey can actually get paid for the amount of time and effort that he puts into this stupid show. And
I don't care if I get paid. I'm just here for fun.
Yeah,
until we make it big, in which case I expect a check.
Your boss did tell me one time, completely sober, quote, the amount of work that Joey puts into this show, it should have more views. And I don't disagree with him. So make sure you like, subscribe, share, tell a friend.
I appreciate that.
Yeah. I think that also means you can just do less. Like
I think so.
Yeah. I think we could just all lower our expectations and Joey could just do less work, but he won't. So pay him.
I won't.
Appropriately.
This is my like.
This is your life.
I don't know.
This is your only hobby
anymore.
Is this what keeps you spiraling into the void? Is that what's happening right now, Joey? Maybe.
Probably. So
Ron's just like,
movie that we're gonna watch,
man. I don't know.
He just watches movies and then just comments on them.
Exactly.
Our next movie
I got the easy job.
We're gonna watch. Yes, you do.
You got to count boobs. Man. That's kind of hard.
That's true.
Sometimes depends on the boobs.
We're gonna watch V for Vendetta.
Nice.
I have not seen this movie in a long time. Actually, I didn't see it in theaters, and I think the last time I watched is when I first watched it. So I'm looking forward to it.
I feel like we should have watched this a couple months ago.
100%. If you want, I can hold it until November.
Wait.
Fine.
What day does the 5th fall on? I checked, but I'm using my calendar right now. Yeah.
The 5th falls on a Tuesday.
Ah, fuck. Well, sorry about the hobby hour, but they're gonna have to take a L so we can.
So, fun fact: I have never seen.
I could hold if you want to.
What?
Okay.
I've never seen V for Vendetta, specifically because this falls in the category of this is probably a movie I would like, but I fucking hate the fans of this movie because they talk about they make it their entire identity that this is their like favorite movie.
Yes.
And if I have to assume, I already make the assumption that the fans lost the point of this movie.
Oh, 100%.
Yeah, okay, that's what
100%.
So it'll be very interesting to go watch this now and just see how connected people who claim that this is their favorite movie and what it represents has no idea what the point of this movie is.
Oh, I'm looking forward to all that, then.
Yeah, it'll be very interesting for me to digest.
So next week, because we are going weekly with rundown reviews, basically all year long,
get to listen to our succulent
we're going to watch V for Vendetta. So thank you all, and we will catch you next time.
Bye.
Later.
It's time